from the west side of Albuquerque. This is Pilot Ted Mays and Pilot
Tristan McLean.
We just got done at Joe Harris on day one of the Siesta. Hey everybody in the world of Balloon Fiesta Live. Say hi, crew.
Good morning.
From the west side of Albuquerque, this is Pilot Ted Mays and Pilot
Tristan McLean.
We just got done at Joe Harris on day one of the Siesta. Hey everybody in the world of Balloon Fiesta Live. Say hi, crew.
Good morning.
from the west side of Albuquerque. This is Pilot Ted Mays and Pilot
Tristan McLean.
We just got done at Joe Harris on day one of the Fiesta Siesta. Hey, everybody in the world at Balloon Fiesta Live. Say hi, crew.
Good morning.
Live from the hot air balloon capital of the world, this is Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by XTO Energy, a subsidiary of ExxonMobil. It's the Siesta Edition. Live and direct from the home studio near Shreveport, Louisiana, and studios of Public Access Channel 27 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, here are the hosts of Balloon Fiesta Live, Siesta Edition, Glen Moyer and Lloyd Jr.
Section 2 of Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by XTO, a subsidiary of ExxonMobil. I'm Glen Moyer, live in Louisiana, and the guy in the other outside my box over there is Lloyd Jr. Hi, Art. How are you this evening?
Hi, Glenn. Hey, what a day it's been, huh? Two shows in one day, and it was kind of weird today, having quite so much time in the afternoon and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I know. It was bizarre because normally, well, all day long, usually I have like a 3 a.m. wake-up call to get out to the field early for dawn patrol and the opening ceremonies. And then in the afternoons, even though we don't usually go on live till about 6:30 or 7 in the evenings, I get up and leave the hotel in Albuquerque about 3 in the afternoon to beat the traffic out to the field and then just hang out. And so today I was able to sit in the recliner and pet the cats, watch a little football. It was really quite an unusual day.
Yeah, and I had a lot of work to do. We've had a tremendous response to our merchandise sale. So I was doing a lot of extra support for that this afternoon, but it was nice to be able to do that and have some extra time to come back. Hey, we should explain exactly what's going on here. How the heck can you do Balloon Fiesta Live when Balloon Fiesta, the 2020 edition, has been postponed to 2021? You want to take it?
Well, not really, but I will. It's very simple. We are a live show. This is a live broadcast. And throughout the week, I'm not sure about tonight, mostly tonight I expect we'll be showing you video highlights from previous events, previous Balloon Fiestas. During the mornings, we were showing you not only video highlights, but also some live pictures of balloon flights taking place all around the United States today. You saw some of those on air as we were rolling the pre-roll prior to opening the show. So we're a live show. Balloon Fiesta is a live event that takes place at the park out in Albuquerque. The live event was postponed months ago because of concerns over COVID-19, of course. So the live event is not happening. The live show, Balloon Fiesta Live, is happening. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. And as you mentioned, we added something tonight. We're getting all these great pictures from around the world, so far around the States. We're going to get the world ones as well, of balloonists putting their balloons up as part of a lifting spirits around the world movement. The idea, put your balloons up, take those essential workers for a flight, just say thank you to them.
Yeah.
And so they're sharing those pictures with us, and we're going to continue to put them in the pre-roll. So the pre-show, if you will start 10 to 15 minutes before the top of the hour. So when you tune in and watch us on Facebook or YouTube or one of those Cumulus radio stations, you'll be able to see those pictures, and we'll rotate them out as we get more additional ones for there. Thank you so much for those folks who have already sent them in, and we look forward to seeing even more of them. So yes, live pictures, recorded pictures. Man, it's just crazy what we're putting on the air.
I'm confused because you said you'll be able to see them on the radio, and I've never seen anything on the radio. In fact, I've been told I have a great face for radio, but I'm not sure that's a compliment. So you can't really see the pictures on the radio.
Well, what you can do is you can go to the radio station's website.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So I left out a word. So you go to, there's 7 Cumulus radio stations here in Albuquerque, which means if you know of those stations, you can watch them anywhere and listen to them anywhere on the internet. So if you go to their web pages, they are airing our stream as well. It's already embedded there. And so, so you can watch it on the radio website.
Okay. I stand corrected. Thank you, sir.
Hey, in 2018, on the first Saturday night, it was windy and we didn't do a glow. Last year, 2019, it was windy. We didn't do a glow. Yeah. Guess what? 2020, even though there wasn't a glow scheduled, although some people were going to try it tonight, it's windy here in Albuquerque tonight.
Oh, no.
This is 3 years in a row that the first Saturday night would have been blown out for a glow. Probably blown out tonight as well. It's up and down here downtown where we are in the studios of Channel 27. It's windy outside as well. So it's a really good thing that we plan to show you highlights of the 2019 America's Challenge gas balloon race. It didn't go off on Saturday like it was scheduled a year ago. It actually went off on Monday night, and it's a long process. Few hours to get the balloons filled up and ready to go, and then another 45 minutes or so to get them all launched. Anyway, we've condensed that into this hour show. We're going to show you that. We're going to talk live with a couple of the participants in that race a little bit later on. So before we get talking too far along, let's see what America's Challenge, the gas race from 2019 looks like, and all the setup and pretty much everything you ever wanted to know about gas ballooning. Take a look.
And just one quick reminder is that you see a little live bug in the video, and that doesn't mean it's actually happening now. That's from last year when it was broadcast live.
That's why we put 2019 in the corner of the screen.
Yeah, but not everybody noticed that today, so I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Good point. Good point. Roll it, Steve.
Yep. But you know, this is a great shot because dead center in the middle of that balloon, that one's basically full and from an inflation standpoint, ready to go. On the far right-hand side, you see the balloon is still being held down. They're just getting started putting some hydrogen in there.
Yes.
There's a great shot of the netted balloon.
Right.
And the difference, if you look back to the one that's behind it, the one behind it is one of those quick fills. So those lines just attach to the envelope.
Right.
Where the one on the left, the netted balloon, that's a net that goes all the way around.
Yeah, the envelope is actually contained within the net.
Yes.
Whereas the quick fill balloons, generally, the one we were showing in particular, is much more, its structure is much more like the traditional hot air balloon with load tapes attached to the balloon that then come down and attach to the basket.
And we want to keep our eye on the one that's kind of in the center of the shot there, between the Warsteiner, the yellow one, and the others, because that's getting that bubble of hydrogen up there at the top. And once they feel they've got a nice little bubble there, they're holding it down so it doesn't go up.
They'll release it.
Exactly. They'll let go, and that thing's just going to pop up.
Yeah.
Hey, there we can see the valve in the top. That little black dot that's kind of off on the side at the moment.
Yep.
Once they let go, it will be on the top. We've been talking about with the hot air guys that huge
big
parachute
top. Yeah,
this thing here is about maybe 18, 24 inches versus 24 feet in the hot air balloon, and that's what they will do if they need to stop their ascent. Then they're going to have to get rid of some gas. There's a great shot of it.
That's a very tiny valve, but they can open that valve if they choose to, which you really don't want to do. You don't want to lose any of your lifting gas. But if you have to, you can open that valve and vent some of the gas out.
See how they're holding it there?
Yeah, they'll release it here in just a moment. As I was saying, Bert was one of the speakers at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. There it goes. And look how it just pops right up. And
Yeah,
he
four
was-
guys holding that
Yeah,
down, and then
yeah.
up it goes. And now you can see that bubble of hydrogen is
and
up there
it
at the
takes more
top.
of a normal balloon shape now.
And
that
now
it's
it will
up
just continue to
to
fill.
until the balloon packs out.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Peter in the
So you
shot.
see all those sandbags on the outside, and inside the basket is another set of sandbags. In Barbara Peters' case, it's kitty litter boxes. And it's the weight that will be replaced by the pilots once they get inside.
Right.
So they'll be that they're not going to be in there, the crew, but they are going to start hooking up the equipment, pulling all of that good stuff together, making sure everything's in there. So the crew will be busy, and one of them, we can probably pull others away, but they have that basket, that envelope, pretty well weighed down now.
Right.
A lot of those sandbags will come off once they get
Once they're
ready to go
launch, to
for
go
a
live.
flight.
The other thing you could see in that shot was the load ring, which serves the same purpose as the burner frame on a hot air balloon. On the burner frame, that's what really ties the basket and the envelope together. There's another shot of it there.
Yep.
But on a gas balloon, since you don't have burners, you don't have that framework that the uprights, rigid uprights and whatnot, or even flexible uprights around you. You just have load tapes that connect from the envelope to the load ring, and then the basket is connected by load tapes or cables, similar to the way a hot air balloon is connected, but it all just ties to that load ring, and that's what that big round ring is right there in the center.
That's exactly right. And then there's all these lines that come down through there. There is the line that goes to the vent that we talked about.
Right.
There is the two lines that go to what Barbara affectionately refers to are the poopsies. And those are those, in fact, we see them right on
Those
the balloon
two
on the
little
right.
dimples on the top
The two
of the
little
balloon.
dimples, we see it on that balloon.
Yep.
You can see them, actually you can see it on all three of those. Those are all, they all look like Padel balloons, actually. Maybe not the one in the back. But those are the deflation ports. So while
Okay.
you vent with the vent we
With
talked
the
about,
valve,
with
the
the
metal
valve,
valve we showed.
when it's time to deflate, you're going to pull those open.
Okay.
And those are, they're about 6 or 8 feet long. They're kind of folded in, wrapped with Velcro and other ties, and then attached to a line at the bottom. So you pop the Velcro loose, and that becomes a little sleeve, almost
a
like
little bit
the
like an Adams pop top.
Exactly,
Yeah,
it is
I
exactly
saw where
like
you're
that.
going with that. Yeah.
Yep. It's but there are two, and they're much smaller than the Adams.
Right.
But then the hydrogen can escape out the top of the balloon.
Okay.
There are other handling lines that go down to the bottom, the appendix of the balloon at the bottom.
And that appendix is what is how the balloon is filled. That's what the hydrogen flows
And
through.
that
And there
very
you see it.
that very thick line
Right
is
there.
the hose.
Right. That's the hose, and there's the appendix right there.
That was it right
at the
there.
bottom.
And so you open and close that depending on whether you're ascending or descending, because that's where if you get excess gas, that's going to expel through that bottom.
Through the bottom, yeah.
And so if you're maneuvering, and I'm not a gas pilot, I've done this a few times, so I have to make sure I'm thinking and explaining this correctly. You close that to make sure that the gas doesn't get out when you don't want to, when you're ascending and descending too fast.
Right.
There's also a thing called an anti-sail line, which I wish I could explain that one. Maybe we'll get one of the pilots to explain an anti-sail.
I'm not a gas pilot either, so we're getting into areas that are well beyond my expertise, other than just my general knowledge. One of the other interesting pieces of equipment they carry on a gas balloon that we don't use in hot air ballooning is a trail rope.
Yes.
That's used
yes.
at landing.
Trail rope or drag rope.
Or drag rope, yep.
Yep.
And that is a big, heavy, long rope that is tossed overboard, and it drags along the ground as the balloon is preparing to land, and it helps to slow the balloon, and it also is a bit of weight control.
Yes, it becomes, they like to call it retrievable ballast.
Right.
Because, of course, these gas balloons fly, the lighter-than-air gas lifts it up. When we want to go higher, we have to get rid of weight. So we dump sand over the side or something that has weight.
Kitty litter.
But when you drop the trail rope off, that rope, when it hits the ground, now some of that weight is on the ground, taking it off the balloon.
Off the balloon, exactly.
Therefore, you get a little bit of extra lift there. And then, of course, oops, I'm ready. Pull the rope back up. Now all the weight's back to the balloon again. And so that's where
down.
That's the only retrievable ballast you have on a gas balloon.
And some of the teams I know carry water ballast as well as sand, because it's expendable and can easily be tossed overboard or dumped overboard, whichever you may choose.
Especially if you're over people. Like on the launch here tonight, there's a number of people out here. If they need to expend some ballast, You don't want to dump a scoop of sand on the people standing 15, 20, 30 feet below you.
Right.
A little water doesn't hurt anybody, but the sand would get kind of yucky. So.
Yeah. Or sand and water mix would get really yucky. So don't want to do that.
Yeah. So there's a picture of the launch platform.
Yes.
One other thing that's different about hot air, when we launch a hot air balloon, even in competition, you just launch wherever you want to.
Or if you launch from the field here, you launch from an assigned grid spot.
Right. But because this America's Challenge gas balloon race is a distance race, every inch, every foot counts.
That's right.
So they will, when we get ready to launch, which should be in a little over an hour from now, what they're going to do is they're going to walk the balloons one at a time to the center of that platform, and then they'll do a weigh-off.
Right.
They will check for buoyancy to make sure that they all go out about the same amount of buoyancy, so nobody's got extra ballast.
Right.
You know, nobody's got too much.
Make sure no one has an advantage
of any kind.
Of any kind. That's
Not
right.
an inch from where you started, with the same amount of buoyancy there as well. So we that's what we're going to see. We also have some pomp and circumstance that go with that.
That's
in
true.
that we will be playing the national anthems of the teams as they go off as well.
Well, now that brings up an interesting question, and because I'm looking at the team bios on the website, and we have one team. The first team one is a USA and Poland team. The pilot is from the U.S., Andy Caton, and the co-pilot is
Krzysztof
Zapart. Okay, from Poland. So now in that case, which anthem is played, or do we play them both?
We're going to play both. We joke about the multicolored hot air balloon. Well, now we're going to be talking about the white gas balloon.
Yeah.
At least there's one yellow one out there.
Yeah, at least there is one yellow one, yeah.
Well, we can refer to the netted balloon as well. And there is there's a couple of different manufacturers of quick fills out there.
You know, you and I have worked together
too long already,
because we finish each other's sentences and know where the other's going before you start, because I was just calling up Team 6, and that is Al Nels and Andy Baird, and they're flying a balloon that looks, if there ever was a balloon that would be claimed to be a UFO while it was flying, it might be this. This is a new model, fairly new model, of Cameron built gas balloon. Andy Baird, of course, with Cameron Balloons USA here, and I think David Himmelman Adams was the first to fly this style of gas balloon in the Gordon Bennett just a couple of 3 years ago, maybe less than that, maybe 2 years ago. And it is a very different balloon. You see how we have a picture of it on the website.
I believe it's the one right behind the yellow Warsteiner in the center. I believe that's the one that's
it's inflating now, perhaps?
Yeah, you can't quite see the shape you see in the picture. Oh, here we go. Here's another one popping up.
Yep.
Oh, look at the nice big end numbers on that one. We have to.
Yeah, there's
and the French
German
flag.
balloon, a Dutch. There's a D registration. There's an F registration for France.
And the one that
and
just stood up is
popped
France.
Is an F registration.
Yep.
But we'll talk about the Cameron balloon more when we see it. But it has, instead of the appendage that we were showing earlier and the teardrop shape that looks very much some of these quick fill balloons, particularly the Burt Padelt built balloons, look very much like a hot air balloon in shape. The Cameron gas balloon looks very much to me like an overstuffed pumpkin or even a flying saucer. It's a unique shape, and you'll get to see it here tonight, I'm sure.
My plans are probably pretty much what everyone's going to do. We're going to be able to enjoy this race by staying low, which is very rare. When I say low, but 10,000 or less. And we should be moving rather fast the entire race, and it's almost ideal conditions for a gas race, because we won't have a cloud cover, which means the balloons won't be popping up and down during the daytime, which will save us lots of sand and gas. And I think everybody's going to end up close to the Great Lakes before people start landing.
And what are you thinking you might do? I've seen some trajectories that go a long way into Canada.
No, we're going to go as deep into Canada as the Canadians will let us.
I was going to say, it's you and Krzysztof, and I can't imagine anything else. You do fly with one of the most colorful characters in gas ballooning.
Yeah, well, he's a good guy to fly with, because he doesn't care if you tear his balloon up or not. And that means a lot because most people can't afford the balloon, and they damn sure can't afford to tear one up. And so you have to be, you got to baby the situation. And Christoph, he doesn't care. And, if you tear up the balloon, as long as we win, it's worth it.
Well, I better let you go because I know you need to go and start putting gas in the balloon so we can get going here.
Yeah, last one up and be the last one down.
Well, you have a wonderful, safe trip,
All right,
okay?
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, there's a couple of things here. We're kind of staying more with a little more wider shots at the moment here, and maybe we should explain what the deal here is. Because we are using hydrogen balloons, and we're filling, they're pumping hydrogen into these balloons now. Hydrogen, of course, a very light gas, but also a very flammable gas.
There's one of the fill trucks right there.
Exactly. And so we flag off the area and make sure that the folks that are in the area while the fill is going on are not using any electronics, anything that may possibly cause
an electrical
spark.
Right.
Just in case. The hydrogen gas goes up very quickly because it's so light. But just in case of a hose on the ground or something, we just want to be very safe. And so our cameras are outside the flagging area.
Right.
Now, once all the balloons have taken on all the hydrogen that they have taken on,
and it's enclosed, they're no longer pumping hydrogen.
They will disconnect those hoses, they will take the flagging down, they will let the spectators and thus our cameras in a little bit closer.
Yeah. So the question's coming up from several people asking, so I'll ask the question, let you stumble around the answer.
Okay.
Why are they white? Why aren't they multicolored?
Well, because as we fly for days, you heard Andy talk about we're going to fly for 2 or 3 days.
Right.
In the daytime, the sun hits the balloon and expands the gas inside. If the balloon were black, it would absorb that heat and the gas would really expand. They'd be venting it.
Exactly.
So the white,
and losing it.
Yeah. So the white color keeps the expansion of the gas during the daytime to as much minimum as we can.
Right.
And so then the next question is, well, what about that yellow one? Well, it's light enough, so they're going to get probably more expansion during the day, but not so much that it's going to be an issue.
And the benefit of having it being a solid color as opposed to, let's say, red and white or blue and white or green and white striped or whatever, is obviously you just get an even heating and expansion or an even cooling across a solid color of all the same fabric, as opposed to something like some of the balloons that we see are every color of the rainbow.
Talking about the fabric there, the other thing is this is not hot air balloon fabric. You get the light polyester, nylon, and hot air balloons. This is a much heavier fabric, and in the case of these hydrogen balloons, there's usually a coating on the inside, and actually many of those load tapes, those lines that connect the load line up to the envelope, they actually have some metal in the tape to be able to deflect any kind of spark and disperse it from, so it just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's when you touch something, you get that static
electricity. Yeah.
So these have the metallic Velcro is the name I'm trying to think of that goes in there, so that it's all connected and all grounded, and you don't get a spark in any one place, but it actually attempts to ground it somewhere as we move forward. Now, there's the balloon on the left there. There's someone climbing up on the load line there.
Right, they're standing on the load ring, literally.
And I think what's happened here is the fill line has gotten, there he goes. The fill line has gotten tangled in one of the load lines, so you climb up there he goes, and now it's loose.
Yep.
A while ago, there was a question on there about how high can these balloons go? And someone actually answered 20 to 30,000 feet with oxygen, and I'm going to correct that a little bit. Legally, these balloons can only go to 17,999 feet. They cannot cross into the 18,000 foot altitude. At 18,000 feet, we go into what we call Class A airspace.
That's right.
And you have to be under instrument flight rules, IFR, which means you're controlled by an aircraft controller on the ground who says you're going to go this fast at this direction at this altitude.
Right, and you can't do that in a balloon.
Can't do that, so we have to stay below 18,000 feet, so 17,999. Now, the oxygen part is definitely correct. Once they get above 12,500 feet for any length of time, the pilot needs to be on oxygen.
Right.
And once they get to 14,000 feet, everybody in the balloon has to be on oxygen.
Yep.
So they do carry oxygen for when they go above that level. But there is a, the balloons could go higher, but not legally go higher.
Legally go higher.
I love this shot we have here.
I
Look,
do too.
there's
Look at
all
that.
9 balloons lined up.
Yep.
And most of them are full as they're going to be. There's a little bit.
See the 2 hydrogen fill trucks in that shot. Hold that shot. Don't move. Don't move. Hey, truck, pay attention. I'm directing from up here now.
Up here, yeah. So
Playing
we've got
director.
about 2 that look like they
There
need
we
a
go.
little bit
Thank
more
you.
hydrogen before we'll be able to remove the trucks and the hoses and actually open up the space.
And the third, if you look right to left, you have the group of 3 quick fills, then you have the 3 balloons that are a little rounder in shape, then you have the group with the Warsteiner balloon in the middle. On the back side of the Warsteiner balloon, that is the Cameron balloon.
Yep.
And that's the last, one of the last to take gas, and they're not yet full because you still don't see that rather unusual appendage at the bottom of the balloon.
And the other one that's not quite full is on the far right on the far back side as
well. So the far right, the far left in the back row, those 2 balloons are the 2 that we think are still taking gas.
And dead right in the front end of the middle row, that's the netted balloon.
4 hours of video in 18 minutes.
Yeah, very good. Art, one thing I noticed watching that early on and had to kind of chuckle about here as I was watching it, I worked with Tom Rutherford out there for 25 years. This is our 6th year together, 6th year of you and I working together. And already we're finishing each other's sentences and sometimes not letting the other finish before one of us jumps in with the answer. I don't know what that portends for the future, but so after just 6 years, that's pretty scary.
Scary but fun and really enjoyable here. And by the way, we're answering questions on our YouTube and Facebook chat rooms as well. And we'll continue to do that throughout the night. And in just a couple of minutes, we're going to be talking with a couple of the pilots that were in that gas race. But I have to take just a moment here and remind you that we have a lot of 2020 and undated Balloon Fiesta merchandise available for you in our online store. Here's a quick shot of the setup that we brought down here. All of our online stuff is at balloonfiestastuff.com. There's the URL, balloonfiestastuff.com. And for all of our Balloon Fiesta live viewers, we've got a coupon code that you can put in, and that code is BFLive. BFLive for Balloon Fiesta Live. The coupon code gets you 10% off almost everything in your cart. Doesn't work on calendars, doesn't work on Siesta merchandise, and it doesn't work on shipping either. But it does get you and saves you a little bit of money by using the code BFLive. We've got all kinds of things from clothing to metal prints to posters to tote bags to ornaments, all that kind of great stuff. And there is a daily special online. Actually, you see the Balloon Fiesta Siesta shirt on the right and the teal fleece on the left is the Monday merchandise special, which I know it's not Monday. You were going to ask me about that. We're doing a Monday merchandise special every single day of Balloon Fiesta. And so today that teal is on sale for just $10.
Hey, Art, maybe one thing we should explain, too, while we're looking at all that merchandise. You mentioned the discount code doesn't work on the Siesta merchandise. We have a variety of Balloon Fiesta merchandise that was in the pipeline long before the decision was made to postpone because of COVID. And that merchandise had to go right on through the pipeline. And so we have that now for sale. Once we knew and the decision was made to postpone and have this Siesta edition, if you will, then there was a limited amount of special Balloon Fiesta Siesta merchandise made. And so as I understand it, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, the Siesta merchandise, because it was special ordered and limited quantities, is not, the sale code doesn't apply to it, the discount code, but it does apply to the regular Balloon Fiesta merchandise. But that's the difference in the two, I think.
You're right. You're right. And you can tell because the Siesta stuff pretty much says Siesta on it. The shirt we showed you, there's a pin. We've got a couple of masks, obviously special for this time of year. So those are the things that are Siesta. And our Balloon Fiesta live pins from 2019 and 2020 are in there, and they're already on sale. And the code gets you even more off. So get there. Had a huge morning this morning for sales. And so we may be a little delayed in getting some shipping out this week, but we'll get to it just as soon as we can.
And let's not forget, too, that while we're talking about merchandise, and this is the kind of stuff that the things that you would be able to buy if we were at Balloon Fiesta Field, from all the various vendors. A lot of those vendors have had a really tough year this year because of COVID-19, and sales and everything for them are down. And Fiesta is a time when they make a lot of their annual income, and they can't do that now. So many of them are having sales ongoing. And so if you have a favorite vendor out there, for example, a friend of mine out there is the Arizona Tube Art, Diane Carlson, who has Plano Pen Company, Discover Balloons, those kinds of vendors, they're having a tough year. And so a lot of them are still selling merchandise and have their own websites. And if you go to their websites, you'll find some deals there as well. And it's a way to support our Balloon Fiesta family, in addition, of course, to getting your favorite Balloon Fiesta and Fiesta Siesta merchandise.
And supporting Balloon Fiesta, because AIBF is a nonprofit organization, which we forget to mention as well.
That's right.
Yep. Thanks for bringing that up, Glenn. Let's move along with our show tonight. Joining us live from Angel Fire, New Mexico, Barbara Fricke and Peter Cooney. They were one of the teams that were in America's Challenge last year. And so thanks, guys, for joining us. My first question, I know you just watched all that. Did we get all that stuff right?
100%, Art.
So maybe you could explain what the anti-sale line is, because obviously we didn't get that right.
All right, I'll take a shot at that. There are times when you want to keep the bottom of the envelope, the fabric part of the balloon, down to keep the balloon from what we call cratering and catching the wind. Two times when this would happen is if you're coming in for a landing under high wind conditions and the balloon is losing its hydrogen, it's flattening out, and it has a tendency to start becoming a sail, and you can become a prairie schooner and start skidding along the ground about as fast as the wind will take you. If you hold the bottom of the balloon down with the anti-sail line, you will have a tendency to not sail along. That's why it's called the anti-sail line. One time when you would want to release the anti-sail line is in an emergency. If you lost all your gas at high altitude and you wanted to turn the balloon envelope into a parachute, you would release the anti-sail line. The bottom of the balloon would then float up into the top of the balloon, and you would have a double thick layer of parachute fabric to, you would hope, get you back safely down to the ground. So basically the anti-sail line is to hold the bottom of the balloon down when you want it down, or to release it and let it up when you want it to go up.
Wow, that's incredibly interesting. I'd never heard of the idea of the balloon sucking up into itself and creating a parachute. Thank you for that. Barbara, I have a question for you. And these, our hot air balloon flights usually last an hour or slightly over. Typically, gas balloon flights last 2, 3, sometimes 4 days or longer. How important is it to have the right chemistry and camaraderie between the two of you because seldom do gas balloons fly solo. They're almost, in many cases, usually a pilot, co-pilot, or two pilots, however you want to call it. But so how important is that relationship between the two individuals flying the balloon together?
It's extremely important, Glenn, because you have to have all the trust in the world in the other person you're flying with, because you have to be able to sleep and relax and rest, and also trust them in when you're making decisions. We have always trusted each other, been able to sleep, made decisions jointly, but if either one of us ever said, that's it, we need to land, we have respected the other person and said, that's it, we're landing, and we'll do it jointly. But no, you got to get along with the other person.
Can you give us a little sense of what it's like to be in that basket for 70 hours? I mean, it's not that big. There's only two of you. It's been described as camping in the sky. So what's it really like to be that close for that length of time?
It's camping in the sky. You got the whole world out there that you're looking at. So it really is quite nice. But, your typical day might get up, do some exercise, eat, run errands or whatever. And we're just sitting there in the basket. We are constantly looking at where we are, where the wind is taking us, what kind of airspace is out in front of us, if it's friendly airspace or if it's airspace we shouldn't go into. We are dealing with our meteorologists to find out where the fastest winds are so that we can hopefully ride the fastest winds to get us the greatest distance. We're sleeping a lot, or not always sleeping, but at least relaxing, trying to sleep during the day because you're going to be up half the night. The other person will be up the other half of the night, but you'll relax. We're planning. And sometimes you just get to look out and see the beautiful earth below you going by and catch some incredible sights like, why is there this round circle traffic intersection in the middle of Kansas prairie fields with nothing around? It's like, okay.
Peter, I'm curious. Hot air balloon competition is all about taking your balloon off and flying to a target. When you and Barbara are flying the America's Challenge, and when you're flying in the Gordon Bennett, it's a long distance competition. You're not competing against just yourself and your own performance. You're competing against a number of other balloons. How aware are you, and how much of that enters into your decision making when you're up flying and participating in one of those races? Are you keeping in touch with? Is there communication and cooperation between the various teams? Is there an amount of secrecy? How much does competing against others enter into gas ballooning that we don't experience when we're competing, particularly in hot air balloons?
Occasionally, there will be 2 or 3 teams that will get together and try and coordinate their activities. We use a meteorologist that we're very happy with, and he occasionally also does the weather for a couple of other balloons. And we will coordinate through him sometimes what their location is and what their plans are. In general, with the proliferation of multimedia and GPS, it is much easier to keep track of where the other real-time balloons are, much more so than it was 20 years ago when we started. But I also want to say that we tend to feel that we have completed a good competition if we have flown as far as we can and had a safe landing and been able to get the balloon retrieved and back in the chase truck. And it's not always about winning. We've been accused of being fairly competitive, and we finished every place from first to last. But it's not necessarily a bad race if we don't finish it, if we feel like we have had a good flight. Having said that, we will definitely earmark a couple of balloons that we think are going to be our strongest competition before we take off, and we will especially watch where they're going and what their strategy is, because the competition is all about strategy. It's not just about going up high and going fast. Sometimes going low and slow at the start is the right strategy.
Barbara and Peter, we have just like a minute or so left. Anything you wanted to add about to our viewers about flying gas balloons or flying in America's Challenge?
It's amazing opportunity. If you ever get a chance to do it, don't turn it down. It does require a lot of stamina, and you will end up landing probably someplace you've never been before, maybe someplace you'll never be again. But that's what makes it interesting.
That's what makes it interesting. We got great stories from every landing. But the other part is it is all the support behind us, the people who help us get ready to launch, the chase guys, the guys that are willing to get in their truck or our truck or whoever's truck and drive for 3 days across the country to pick us up from wherever we land, and then turn right around and drive back. And what do they get? You know, they get to see a lot of country, and that's it.
Yep. No individual has ever won a gas balloon race. It's always been a team. And any person who says they won the America's Challenge, they're lying, because it's not one person effort. It's a team effort.
Yep.
Great. Thank you very much, Barbara and Peter, live from Angel Fire. Appreciate your time and joining us here. So now that we know all about what it's like to be in the air, let's go launch those gas balloons from 2019.
Absolutely.
This is Noah Forden from Newport, Rhode Island, and Bert Pedelt from Bartow, Pennsylvania. Noah is a mechanical engineer. He works for the U.S. Navy, rated in hot air and gas balloons, more than 1,000 fixed-wing hours, 500 hours in hot air balloons. This is his third America's Challenge. He and Bert finished third in 2016. For Bert, this is their 16th America's Challenge. He finished second in 2012 with his flying partner Louis Vitanza. Has flown twice in the Gordon Bennett. And of course, we've talked a little bit about Noah and Bert as we have gone on. Already? Okay, let's have the national anthem of the United States. Second team is one of our French entries. We're very pleased to welcome to Albuquerque for their first America's Challenge, Eric Selyev and Vincent Lays from France. Eric is a chemical engineer who owns his own company and has been licensed since 1993 in hot air balloons, earned his gas balloon rating in 2010. He has flown in 4 Gordon Bennetts. Finished fourth in 2014, has been the event director and the deputy director for a number of ballooning competitions in Europe and the Far East, has directed the French National Championships 7 times. Vincent Lays, we're very pleased to have him join us. He's one of the best known of the international competitors. This is his first America's Challenge, but he is hardly a rookie. He is the 9-time world champion in distance gas ballooning. He's flown in 18 Gordon Bennetts. He holds the record for the most victories in the Gordon Bennett, has more than 2,800 hours in gas balloons, more than 1,500 hours in hot air balloons. This is the Marseillaise, the national anthem of France. Brian Duncan from Spring, Texas, and Brenda Cowlishaw from Bulverde, Texas. Both are experienced hot air balloonists, have been flying hot air for many years. This is their very first distance gas balloon race. If the balloon looks a little familiar, for those of you that have been around the America's Challenge or following the America's Challenge, this is the balloon that was previously owned by Phil Bryant, who flew in the America's Challenge for many years. Phil sold his balloon to Brenda and Brian, and is now one of the team that's up here on the launch platform assisting in the way-off. Have a safe flight.
She's excited. Yeah. Willie Eimers just says,
have a great flight and have a blast, Brenda and Brian.
Says, greetings to America. It's 5 o'clock in the morning in Germany. I would like to be there. I come back to America. Willie, we would welcome you back at any time. And again, it's a pleasure to have you watching, sir.
For many years, Sherry and Mark held the duration record for the America's Challenge. She's been awarded the Montgolfier Diploma. She's a 3-time Women's National Hot Air Balloon Champion and North American Hot Air Balloon Champion, and has finished as high as 3rd in the Women's World Championships. And then her flying partner, longtime flying partner, Albuquerque's Mark Sullivan. Mark is the Iron Man of distance gas ballooning. This is his at least 41st distance gas balloon race. Has been very successful. Has won the U.S. National Gas Balloon Champion twice. Has won he and Sherry won the America's Challenge in 2008 and 2012. He and Sherry also finished third in the 2009 Gordon Bennett. He's a two-time recipient of the Montgolfier Diploma. He's a recipient of the BFA Al Desmond and Shields Trauger Awards, Sid Cutter Award, AIBF Hall of Fame. Is currently the president of the World Ballooning Federation.
That's a great shot of Mark looking right at the camera.
And I was going to say, that big heavy rope you see there at the far left of the screen, that is that drag rope
that you were talking about.
That we talked about earlier tonight that'll be used at landing.
Attached to the load ring and then put into a bag that has a quick release to be able to let that go once they need it. I see the instrument on the right in front of Mark. It's attached with the blue and white. That's going to be their altitude. It looks like a Flytech. Yeah. So
like the same type of instrument we use in hot air ballooning.
Just doesn't measure the temperature in the balloon.
No, that's right. Someone noticed that Kong is there, and yes, for those of you that are, Kong is a well-known balloonist around the country. See one of those trap doors we were talking about that was extended open. And that plastic ring that you see around there that Kim has mentioned a couple of times, that can be lowered down to fully enclose the basket for warmth at night, and or if they run into rain, it keeps the rain out of the basket, keeps the pilots dry. So Benoit Pollard and Benoit Peterel.
So we're picking up a little bit more of the natural sound, a little bit less of Kim and more of the conversations that are going on between Tomas and the teams.
We're on a different, using a different mic. We're picking up Nat sound. There goes the anthem.
So up next, the USA team. My favorites.
These are your favorites.
These are my favorites.
Yeah,
Peter Cooney, Barbara Fricke. I've helped launch them many, many times. I have helped launch that balloon. That's actually a new basket for them. After many different more rough landings, they decided it was time to build a new lightweight aluminum basket. One of the crew members actually built that. Kim is talking about Barbara being on the board of directors of the Balloon Fiesta. She is also one of the latest DPEs, or designated pilot examiners, here in New Mexico.
They have also worked tirelessly for years as editors of the newsletter for the BFA's gas balloon division.
So the gentleman we just saw on the right that has the marker lights in it, he's the man that built that basket.
Okay.
That's Rob.
You can see the marker light is already turned on. That will be deployed. It probably is already attached to the basket, and you'll be releasing it as the basket goes airborne.
And the metal disc that's hanging there is a antenna receiver for the radio communications.
Right.
So we've talked about all that stuff hanging below the basket before. He'll hold on to that, and as the balloon takes off, he'll just release that, and it'll just be hanging as they take to the sky. This is
Andy
Al
Baird
Nels and Andy Baird.
Al Nels and Andy Baird. And this is that new style Cameron gas balloon, the one that I've been referring to as a pumpkin throughout the night.
We talked about those headlamps. We've seen that on a few of the pilots.
Yes.
We see that they're red on these guys. Well, there turns on the white one. We've talked about that. Looks like the oxygen cylinders are hanging on the outside.
On the outside, yeah.
And, of course, the map board there. You mentioned the rain skirt across the top.
It looks like that might be a smaller basket. They seem to be in a little bit tighter quarters there.
So you hang more
pilots.
stuff on
so
the
you
outside.
hang stuff on the outside.
Yeah. So you see that little yellow device kind of hanging from the load ring there? That's the actual tracker. That's what's sending the signal to the Iridium satellite that we're then picking up on the YB Races app or on our tracking app on balloonfiesta.com. So that's Look at what Austria is doing. They're actually holding up their sign in case you couldn't tell who they were.
Yeah.
And earlier we were talking about in Europe the countries that were prohibited from flying in. When you look at our tracking app, you'll see a red line along the U.S.-Mexico border. Mexico is off limits to our pilots.
Right.
So, but to have one red line as opposed to have whole countries blocked out all around you in Europe,
yeah,
it really makes the United States a great place to be flying gas balloons. And so last but not least, our mixed team, if you will. Andy Caton from the United States and Krzysztof Zapart from Poland.
Oh, I'm glad you said that.
Krzysztof has been here a number of times. Andy Caton has flown here a number of times. They have finished second and third and second and many, many times, and they both are very hungry to be number one.
Often a bridesmaid, never a bride, as they used to say.
Yeah. Andy told us that he would be the last one to be inflated, and he was, and he hoped to be the last one flying. We'll have to wait a couple of days to see if that actually happened. So here goes Andy and Krzysztof.
Right. Two things that you could see very clearly in that shot as they were launching that I wanted to talk about. One was you could see that trap door that was extended, which allows the pilots to lie flat and get some rest. The other thing I've seen on a couple of the baskets, you may have noticed that plastic shiny reflection off the basket. The baskets are wrapped in shrink wrap, and that's only to keep heat inside the basket, because they're wicker baskets. Many of them are hot air balloon baskets, or at least adapted hot air balloon baskets as open wicker weave. So you wrap them in that shrink wrap to hold the heat in.
we have the Polish national anthem going as well. So this is Andy Caton and Christoph Zappart, the USA Poland team taking off. I thought as they do that way off to try and keep everybody going off at the same level of buoyancy, I thought these guys went up a little slower than the others.
They looked a little heavier to me,
and
too.
you see what's happening now.
They're ballasting sand out.
They're dumping sand out there to get that altitude. So they're going to end up, probably they could have taken one more bag off.
Probably.
Not to second guess Tomas Hara out there, who is the weighmaster.
But Andy also said they wanted to stay low tonight, so maybe there was some strategy there in trying to keep a little extra weight on. But yeah, someone was asking on Facebook, what are they throwing out? What are they tossing out? Well, yeah, they're ballasting sand as they go.
Interesting to relive that launch again. I mean, the pomp and circumstance of an America's Challenge launch just gets me every time.
I agree. You know, playing those national anthems, and I would love to be able to see a Gordon Bennett race. We did one at Albuquerque many years ago, and I was one of the announcers for that. But I'd love to see one in Europe when there are so many more nations participating, and you have those anthems being played. I love that pomp and circumstance. It just really adds an element that you don't get to hot air ballooning.
So a couple things we should add. Christoph and Andy, the last ones that we saw off, did actually end up winning America's Challenge race, ended way up by the Hudson Bay. And if you wanted to go back and kind of see where they went, the tracks they took, you can go to balloonfiesta.com and click on the America's Challenge page. The tracking map is still there. You're taking a look at it right here. So there's that red line we talked about in the package about the line between the U.S. and Mexico. That's the only restrictive line. But then all those balloons you see, they pretty much all made it up into the Great Lakes area. And then way up there is where Andy and Christoph ended up. They had to leave the balloon behind. And I'm told that just within the last couple of weeks did they actually get the balloon retrieved. So it was actually up there almost a year.
And you remember Andy saying in that interview with Kim Vesley before launch that one of the great things with flying with his co-pilot was because he didn't care if you tore up the balloon or maybe had to leave it in Canada for almost a year.
Yeah, it's really prophetic how Andy was right on. They were the last one up. They were the last one down.
That's right.
Tore up the balloon. It was pretty incredible. Hey, you know, since you and I have last been together, I actually had the opportunity to go for a gas balloon flight with Peter and another gentleman here in town, Dave Eichhorn, who owns one of those stations here. And so now I actually can say I have been for a gas balloon flight. Now, in order to get the restriction taken off your hot air license, you have to do 2 flights. Because of the wind conditions, we only got 1 landing in. I want to show you our track, and I want to talk through this. So we've got a little animation of the track that we took for it, and we took off right at sunset from Albuquerque, from Balloon Fiesta Park. And if you watch the numbers at the bottom, you can see how fast we were going and how high we were going. The line, pretty typical line going out of here. And so we're about 9,000 feet, and we're moving about 22 knots. And as you see, as we got higher, and by the way, the moon set at 9 o'clock at night. And so this is probably, right here is probably about 3 o'clock in the morning. And so pitch black night we went through, and the other 2 guys are sleeping while I'm flying. You heard Barbara and Peter take a look at this. Now, these 2 lines, here's the same track again. So the yellow line is the speed, and the blue line is the altitude. So we're going on through the night, and you can see the yellow line just kept picking up and getting faster and getting faster. We're going about 23 knots here. And then finally, here in just a moment, is where the sun started coming up, and we started looking for a landing spot. And it should have calmed down when we came to the ground. It didn't. We got up to 50 miles an hour. We got up to 50 miles an hour just before we hit the shortly before we hit the ground. It finally slowed down. I think we hit about 25 miles an hour, but deployed those poopsies, and we stopped almost immediately. But what an incredible opportunity.
Talking about poopsies, I kept waiting to see a Pac-Man come through. They're going, what?
It was really something. Pitch black, with the other two guys snoring away, you know, and I'm sitting here, I'm watching the altimeter, and it's like, okay, we're going faster, and we're going down a little bit, dump a little sand. Okay, that's good, dump a little sand. And then finally seeing the sunrise was just incredible. And then, like I said, it was just, yeah, it was an amazing flight. Probably the thing that most got me, though, was the liftoff. When you lift off in a hot air balloon, it's kind of a slow liftoff as it kind of gains momentum. But when they let go of us in the gas balloon, we immediately just lifted up. It's just, you're total buoyant. You're not building that buoyancy.
Wow.
But just a fabulous flight. I hope to get another one in so I can get the hot air restriction taken off my
I'm envious now. Speaking of taking off, we need to take off tonight because we're back on the air tomorrow morning.
Just 11 hours and 1.5 minutes from now, we'll be back on the air, and it's another Mass Ascension Day, and so we'll be looking forward to that. We've got more merchandise deals for you tomorrow, more recorded video for you, more live shots. Hope to have those from around the state as well. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. And
indeed.
Say what?
No, I was just saying indeed. Yes, thank you.
He's Glen Moyer. I'm Art Lloyd Jr. This is Balloon Fiesta Live, the Siesta Edition, powered by XTO, a subsidiary of ExxonMobil. Good night, everybody. See you in 11 hours.
Good night.
You've been watching Balloon Fiesta Live, Siesta Edition, powered by XTO Energy, a subsidiary of ExxonMobil. Always in October and always in Albuquerque, the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta is the world's premier ballooning event. Make plans now to join us in person in 2021 for the 49th version of Balloon Fiesta. Thanks for watching Balloon Fiesta Live. This program is a production of AIBF Inc.